We will try not to rush through this. I have a few questions. I have them on a paper, but let's begin. Yes, I'll do it from memory to make it more freestyle and to nourish the code. So listen, when it comes to AI, for 2.5 years, it's been a real race. Let's say the first year was just ChatGPT and for a long time, nothing else. But then suddenly everyone started catching up. Also, some people from OpenAir, like Dario Amodi, who founded Entropia, now Mira, who founded Thinking Machine. So what's just happening there and what's going on? Grok released, meaning a new model, Mask. So in this consumer world, in this, well, maybe bubble, but you can see things are brewing, things are always happening. New model soon, you know, we hear on TV that Terminator will be next, that our actor, I remind you, it's the gentleman, Sam Altman, that is the head of OpenAI, said, we want to be regulated, dear Congress, we want you to regulate us like nuclear weapons. Everyone was stunned because really, the head of Facebook did everything he could to simply keep the industry unregulated. And now suddenly someone wants regulation. So I have this question for you that, okay, in such an aspect, let's say doing homework with children at home with a lesson chat. Let's say we have a problem choosing whether to use a chat or an Anthropic one or Grok, which will do it better. But listen, how is it in the company? How is it in your companies? Is it really a topic or just some slide in, you know, some strategies and we just focus on business?
No, I really don't know what to answer because I'll end up looking like
really
the truth. Because, you know, I wanted to ask where all of this actually is with us. Because suppliers come to us, you also were, as a boutique, it was a very nice presentation. However, I don't see any sort of wow factor we have. Something that could, I don't know, surprise me. Everywhere we have, I don't know, chatbots or adbots in the background. Management, knowledge management. What we did in UNIQA, well, it took about 1.5 years. It was not based on GenA. It was more machine-based, a system for life damage liquidation. And when it comes to using GenA itself now, I am a bit disappointed regarding my area, you could say. All right, thanks.
Finished already?
Well, when it comes to what was happening about 2 years ago, indeed, the hopes were much higher. But it's like with any technology, the same was true with the internet in the late 1990s and early 2000s. And now, regarding Bank Millennium, I think we have gone through that moment of excitement. And now we are starting the practical actual implementation, and I will provide specific examples. So this is not a slide, but it's also not the case that everyone believes in it. There are many skeptics, right? So those enthusiasts, who are still a small group in the bank, are pushing it forward. And about 1 year ago, we implemented a beautiful solution that solved a range of problems of the bank related to simple language. Banks are places where documents and regulations are very difficult. And now when we talk to clients, we just want this language change. And that I remember conversations with a colleague who leads a team focused on plain language. And about 1.5 years ago, I took a picture. This text that he simplifies. It was a whole page of text. So I wrote a simple prompt. Simplify this. Don't use passive voice or anything like that. Don't use client, use you. And after 2 seconds, a really beautiful, simple language came out. Of course, it needed some tweaking. However, for her, for this team, it was something dazzling that they could program without IT using just their examples and their sense of what simple language means. And now, listen, huge, large documents are being simplified by AI genes, which is normally done jointly with Microsoft. Currently in Bank Millennium, in an appropriate manner, right, where both data and we have it done privately, so this might to use. There are many more implementations because there are Harry bots. I'm not mentioning voice bots because we're talking about Gen AI, and voice bots are not really Gen AI at this moment, so there are such implementations.
Here you can like this. Well, yes, but currently...
Yeah, because what we're doing isn't based on Gen AI because it's just regular machine learning, generation of just lines, rather slightly rule-based systems. if we consider this as Gen AI, then okay, there were such implementations much earlier, even before ChatGPT was realized. So moving on, there are many other solutions. Regarding hyper-personalization, I believe the bank is currently a leading place in the market where we truly implement completely new solutions, including in the cloud as software as a service. And here I can proudly say that Pega solutions and such Gen AI solutions are fitting in well. Darek, okay, regarding InPost, InPost was really preparing for this. We emerged from predictive models and really someone from our data department or all the smaller departments closely tied to data or machine learning was constantly involved. We simply read documentation that was coming out from various universities and we kept preparing for this. We were waiting for that first model, a big model, to be published and for us to adapt to it. Was there some huge hype about it? We were very disappointed, and there's no hiding it, that initially what we did very predictively and those data sets that we already prepared and cleaned, they performed much better and still perform. But looking at the fact that, for example, Imposter scales strongly internationally, and large models significantly accelerate our business, especially in terms of customer care. Indeed, voice bots and chatbots have strongly dominated the market, but from our point of view, they have accelerated the retraining of these predictive models, and there is no denying, indeed, for client. We are not yet releasing a generative approach, but who knows when, maybe soon.
Yes, it is a trendy word, knowledge distillation, because DeepSeek is essentially a distilled GPT-4 model, meaning it is truly learned from this distillate. Listen, but I would like to, and probably we all would like to push you a little to get you to speak and find out where is it actually? Do you or someone in your organizations with vice presidents or the vice presidents themselves say, oh dear, a new feature has just come out, like Deep Research, which presented the GPT chat or anything else? So is there already a team testing this, or is it more like, oh, we'll calmly address this when there's a case? Well, where is it? Tell us, or
No, there is no such team here. Generally, it's, I mean, I also...
Because there is public excitement about all this. Why is there no excitement inside the company?
You know, because I start with the idea that first you need to find a business case, and only then the tool that fulfills this case. Because, for example, in many instances, we apply AI to processes that can easily be automated with RPA.
In the Millenium Bank, we have two units that currently deal with AI. One is located in IT, specifically AI concerning AI platforms, namely creating various types of API connections and so on. There is also a business unit that specifically deals with implementations of UI and UI. It is located in my department of customer knowledge because naturally that is where there was the most experience before.
Yes, and McKinsey and all those others too. In all the reports showed that this is the greatest added value, and that indeed customer service is the place where we absolutely must use this AI, because there are vast deposits related to with efficiency, but also with a better customer experience and so on. Well, I'm curious about opinions on how it is in practice, because all these studies were declarative. And in InPost?
In InPost, indeed, a central unit was created that really monitors market trends for us and ensures that we stay up to date with innovations. It is also responsible for testing, but also sort of, there were simply departments that have been up to date with technology from the beginning. And within these departments, centers of excellence were created where indeed it is running.
So like this.
It's like the hype around AI is really taking off. And indeed, that's my department, for example.
But listen, isn't it the case that maybe you did, or sorry for generalizing, but as if companies made a kind of false start, meaning at a very early stage where there was
My son.
suddenly we just started testing something. It turned out that not everything, just half, or actually not half, just half of that half, and so on. And again, there is a lot of research on this, that there's a struggle over what to actually use this AI for. There's a beautiful report showing that AGI, no one has any idea what to do with AGI. So even if we said we have it, this super intelligence, we don't really know how to fully use it. And now my question is as follows, that I still remember when I worked at Microsoft and I was the head of the Microsoft Technology Center. And over the course of 2 years, we processed 80 companies that were testing. You were there too. So everyone was testing. Listen, we were generating, I don't know, about 15 examples, and then it went to testing. Is it such that and the other part that didn't catch up, is that the one before them, or are we just in a completely different place?
Maybe I'll start now. As for us, we are a bit bold when we talk with suppliers. I think you have experienced it too when it comes to investment boldness. We did very good research. We are very prepared. Generally, when we come in,
We are
say
entering-
what we want, and we really know how to say what we want at specific points, and how those elements should
But come
be.
on. Someone has to do this research. How is it organized?
It means for me, my team and I are just immersed in it and tinkering.
Maybe I'll just
I will refer a bit to this false start before answering the question. Generally, with this false start at Bank Millenium, we approached and still approach it with the awareness that we overestimate the impact of new technology in the short term and underestimate it in the long term. And now, besides that, in these current times, the meaning of the word long is also changing. I think Irina mentioned in the previous panel that it won't be for a long time yet. Yes, it seems to me that it will not be rolled out yet. The issue is that the definition of long is changing, and significantly. So we approached the implementation in this way. That is, we build teams of enthusiasts, including some of our people who work with us, also work. Pro Bono in the Bilik project is being developed by enthusiasts, and these enthusiasts simply evangelize the organization. Is it working? Well, for example, programmers are adopting this technology like crazy all the time. Yes, but I think I understand why. But some people are implementing it and educating the organization. And we even, yes, the president now sees it completely differently, although he was very skeptical. So there's no false start. Just
You can't only think about tools, the adoption
You
and
have to learn by
assimilation
yourself.
curve. Marcin, you really have a brilliant AI solution there, which accelerates the process multiple times. Isn't there a hunger that we simply must find the next thing and rush to automate everything?
and we will use them in other areas. Only as I say, it's just that it was said here that this is not an effect from month to month, 1.5 months. We worked on it for 1.5 years, and there were many twists, many I don't even know anymore. This decision to suspend it, to abandon it. And now truly, we've implemented it in the area of life. We will be implementing it in other areas, whether it's damage reduction in total rapeseed or there. However, it's also not the case that we rely only on this and that's it. On Monday, we were at Microsoft. We were greatly inspired, and we went with Power Apps. Also, certain, shall I say, solutions they offer.
It's a good direction, a good first point, absolutely, yes.
But more in terms of artistic recreation of these different solutions, and also how we will formulate the topic. So it's not like we've rested on our laurels and are just sitting on this one solution,
I
right?
confess to you that over the course of 2 years together with clients, I generated about 500 to 600 AI cases. A large part of these cases, sorry that I say cases, a large part of these projects were essentially projects to a large extent automation, which can be done in many different ways. And now moving on to this automation, I would like to ask you about what's happening with agents now, right? In a sense, what surprised you in the context of AI, kind of? And what was like, well, I knew it would be like that because with every technology, it's just like that.
Yeah, perfect.
What surprised me totally, it surprised me a bit generally.
The correct answer is nothing. Yes, because
But something surprised me. ChatGPT surprised me for sure. Then for 2 years since then, it hasn't really surprised me much.
I understand.
In this way, you can,
Okay.
you know,
Are you disappointed with this
I'm a bit
development?
disappointed with what happened over these 2 years, both with the LLM itself and here when it comes to large language models. I mean, disappointed. I don't see such a big gain.
I think that promise. And you, Mariusz?
I think we are in such a time that if Turing, who developed the Turing test, were to see this, he would not be disappointed. So we have already gotten used to this pace of development. How many new things do we see? Oh, 01, 03 are skipping PhDs and solving tests and so on. We expect something amazing. The only problem is that it does not yet replace a human in every dimension. If we set expectations right, well, we will accept it and use it as support, as supervision. So what personally surprised me and still surprises me is how well it understands human intentions. And listen, thanks to this, almost all people, they have no barrier to accessing technology and knowledge. You don't have to be, well, for example, let's say I'm interested in quantum physics and I can say, no, I'm not interested in quantum physics. And I can say, explain quantum physics to me based on an analogy with some field of science or aspect of life with which I am familiar. And really, ChatGPT presents quantum physics to me in such a way that I understand the analogy. And now, for us personally at Bank Millenium, it's not just automation, it's rather an easy case. And we divide these solutions into 3: predict, generate, predict, automate, and generate. And now we focus on finding a business case for generate, because for automate and predict, they are obvious. This is automation, process optimization. And generate is a new value for us, creating new value, but not cost optimization. And what surprises me, I'm surprised by the ease of interaction of this person who is open to extracting ideas from various, let's say, such borders, different fields that overlap in knowledge. When it comes to InPost and even customer care, this unlocked for us, like LLM unlocked a really big potential to cognitively really approach our customers' analysis. And honestly, we are not thinking about building at this moment a new virtual assistant that will beautifully, in a generative way, solve cases or develop our self-services so that they are better
I'm
understood, or
straightening
the
it.
language is even more adapted. Looking at the opening of generative models, we want to take it a step further. We really want to move towards a cognitive direction, which means getting to know our client even better, and indeed to at least in customer care, to give the client truly unique value from being assisted, but uniquely assisted. We just see great potential in raising, as it were, customer care will be one of the greatest values of our organization. And there's no denying, our president constantly repeats that if we want to have a premium class organization and brand, the customer care absolutely must be exceptional.
Here, we definitely congratulate the president and send regards to Rafał Wziowa. Yes, I think that for sure. I would like to comment on this a little. This whole customer care, and Mariusz, you said that it surprised you. How much this model knows? Well, after all, it was trained on this data. How it understands, how much it understands intentions. it was trained on data that we as humanity generated. Although now
It could be.
support each other because distilling from model to model, that is transferring from one place to another, and synthetic data that are generated, and based on these data,
Test.
these models are further trained, and these tricks and techniques that are done, it's already, let's say, 50-50. So my question is, does it, because we had personalization, hyper personalization, and now we're increasingly trying to understand this client better, does it mean that how much more is really there to do? How we're just scratching the surface and saying, oh, the model is just a centimeter,
Yep.
and to what extent, when we think about it, there's really a gigantic potential in that. And I would like to refer to the fact that it's not even about increasing efficiency by 20 or 30%, but I will do something completely different. I will transform this market.
There is no point hiding it. I think we need to keep looking for
Yeah.
values, but not just financial values, because really, okay, for most organizations, the value is earnings and growth, but we approach this from a very human-centered perspective. Let's just use this technology, but not in an obvious way. For example, with Microsoft, we recently had many interesting sessions in the area of customer care.
Yes, but
Greatly disappointed if an
It comes out, for
organization
example, to
that
such a-
holds a feast now doesn't have this at all. Not that it attacks, but it terrifies me that increasingly larger providers want to sell this technology. They say they are leaders in this technology, but they don't really understand it themselves.
I still have.
I also wanted to hear,
I am not thinking a super hack is, for example, with Jarek at Microsoft.
but, all right, but is there such potential there that you see that if we invest the right resources, the appropriate attention, I'm referring to, yes, the whole article, attention is all you need, which was created in 2017, which was at the inception of GPT, based on which. Do you see that if this attention, according to this article, which caused this AI to be developed, if you pay that attention, there is still a lot to be done in that customer service?
I think so. Really, it's like starting a bottomless pit. It's really just a matter of imagination and the desire to simply think about how to do it differently, how to utilize it. Absolutely. I'll refer again to that internet bubble. Everyone thought, well, okay, we have the internet already with cool websites, Wirtualna Polska. Everything was shining then and suddenly overshadowed. Yes, and it redefined itself over a certain longer period. I think it would be similar here. That is, we see that when it comes to generative artificial intelligence in such a version through ChatGPT, where it hallucinates a lot and so on, it might not always succeed excellently here, right? On the client's side, we will learn and invent new ways, not just for optimization,
Cost?
only on creating new value that will redefine the entire. I'll give you one simple example. You can have an assistant in a mobile banking app and order a transfer. Yes, please make a transfer to someone. Well, that is automation. But on the other hand, these applications often provide functionalities like a personal finance manager, a summary of our expenses and so on. Few people use it. Yes, but here we need to enter these transactions. It has to be almost real time. Today, this technology is not ready to respond in real time so quickly.
Well, good question. Is it or is it not?
Remind the question.
Do you think there's still a lot to do in customer service with this technological potential?
You know what? Yes, I think that in general we should return to basics when it comes to data, because everything is based on data. Exactly. I believe that to properly take care of a customer, we need to know as much as possible about them, right? Sometimes we overreach, I don't know, chasing after paradise, and our data is full of holes like Swiss cheese, right? Whether this data is of poor quality, duplicated, and so on. And in reality, later we're surprised that the effect of what we implemented is negligible or non-existent. And then even within the company, it's hard to convince other areas to continue with it, to keep trying.
Exactly. Maybe I'll continue with that. Or is it not the case that most of these companies started testing? They just threw in some random data into this RAG, meaning retrieval augmented generation, or this knowledge base. And from this knowledge base, well, let's say it produces an answer of sorts, sometimes good, sometimes bad. But what do I get from it if it's sometimes good, sometimes bad? Isn't it somewhat the case that we were thrilled that this chat would do everything for us, but as you rightly pointed out, the quality of the data, well, it sort of tells everything. Isn't this the moment when we kind of stopped because we looked at what we have and said, gosh, we need to do something with this data?
That's how it is for us. So in fact, we're now working on that data quality because we've gone through several merges, one acquisition, another acquisition, and indeed, in that data, we had a kind of mixed bag. That's what I think.
Okay, I like it very much. I personally like it very much.
Well, I somehow agreed recently.
I also don't eat many sweets, but it just came to my mind. Go ahead.
In general, I focus on duplication on this data to ensure it is of the best possible quality and acquiring this data.
All right, but what does it mean we're working? I mean, will we do something in a month, a week, a year?
No, it's ongoing work, really.
What do you mean?
It's a kind of concept. It's not that they are unprepared for it, because the mechanisms for client duplication, those types of things, are already implemented. But there are also situations where sometimes we deliberately allow lower data quality at the expense of having clients input that data, right? And that's a problem in IT.
Mariusz, how about you? Is data, well, obviously a huge asset, yes, for the company, but is it a top priority?
When it comes to the quality of data for prediction, of course, this is a key thing. For automation in such a classic non-generative edition, it's also very important. But I will say that for generative artificial intelligence, the quality of such data that we input matters less. If the quality of data is sufficient for a person, so why wouldn't it be enough for a good generative model that has intelligence and recognizes these prompts? And I personally tested this RAG you're talking about. We uploaded data to Microsoft's SharePoint, where Microsoft, on the Copilot, we also have said they use the 4.0 model. But when I manually tested the same by uploading to the GPT chat next to the 4.0 OpenAI, the results were much better at 4.0 from OpenAI. It is evident that Microsoft limited this model because it used too much electricity on the cloud, too much compute, and so on. So once again, in my understanding, technology will reach a level where if things were good enough for humans, they will be completely good enough in quality for generic artificial intelligence too. Darek, how about the data? As far as data is concerned, absolutely. Predictive models have taught us that if we want however, we believe that if we want to have, for a generative non-hallucinating context-maintaining assistant, the data quality must be very good. But furthermore, if we want to provide self-services using agents, we need to have highly efficient access to this data. Besides good data, super efficient interfaces that indeed maintain real time.
Listen, the last question. We literally have less than 2 minutes left. Imagine now we have all this hype about agents. We have many of these frameworks. Besides, Zoe is also agent-based architecture. I recommend it. And my question is as follows. Imagine those agents whom we assign with certain tasks, right? So we heard that these models are already at a doctoral level, right? So they are at such a stage. So if I take this model and build that agent, my question is as follows. In your company, is it a junior or a senior? This agent, or do you not employ it at all? Did I surprise you? But just simply answer. For example,
Inside, it feels like I eat like a junior.
Nadal Junior, though sometimes with flashes of genius.
And we can already say that a specialist who is experienced, is specialized in their field, and is truly able to complete the process from start to finish.
listen, lastly, sorry, one more last question. There are 3 levels of such archetypes when it comes to how can a company use AI? Or it is takers, shapers, and makers. Takers, I take from the shelf. I am a taker. Shapers, well, here I adjust my business model. Something here is, well, makers. I have aspirations to do it. How would you define it?
yourself in the context of these 3 models. Where are you and where do you want to be? Quickly. We are heading towards Mike Earth. And you? Mainly makers and shapers, but we want to base it on a software as a service model. We want to be takers and just adjust a little bit.
So what was going on here?
Listen, thank you very much. My and your guests were Marcin Poranski. Thank you. Mariusz Gromada and Dariusz Wójcik.